Hey everyone, and welcome back.
Yeah,
We're going to be diving deep into some legal changes coming up in Germany in 2025 that could really have a big impact on online businesses.
for sure.
Think of it as your legal survival guide for selling online in Germany this year.
Exactly.
We're basing our deep dive today on this article. Neues Jahr, neue Gesetze. Diese Änderungen erwarten dich in 2025.
Right.
Which basically lays out everything you need to know.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're really going to want to pay attention to this one because
Yeah, you really do.
these changes are going way beyond like just tweaking a few lines in your terms and conditions. We're talking potential impacts on how you operate,
Right.
what you can sell, and even how you handle disputes with customers.
Yeah, for sure.
So no more burying your head in the sand on this stuff. Let's
Yeah.
get right to it.
Great.
First up, we have the EU Product Safety Regulation.
Okay.
Now, this one technically came into effect at the end of last year,
Right.
but it's still super relevant. Now, and going into 2025,
Yeah.
because it means stricter controls and information requirements for anyone selling products online.
Yeah, you really have to make sure that you're taking product safety seriously,
Right.
even in the online world.
Ah.
So, for example, imagine you're selling, say, kids' toys online.
Yeah.
You'll need to be extra careful about providing really clear and accurate safety information,
Okay.
proper labeling, and maybe even need stricter documentation on where and how those toys were manufactured.
That makes sense, especially with something like toys.
Right.
But wouldn't this regulation impact almost every product sold online?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Right.
From clothing to electronics to cosmetics, this regulation casts a wide net.
Okay.
Think of it as the EU raising the bar for consumer safety in the digital age.
Okay.
And the real kicker is that the responsibility lies squarely with the online seller.
So with me,
Meaning you, yes.
okay, so due diligence is key here. Moving on, we have something that honestly threw me for a loop.
Okay.
The OS platform is shutting down.
Yeah.
I thought that was supposed to be a good thing for handling online disputes.
Well, it was designed to be,
Right.
but in July 2025, it's going offline for good.
Wow.
For those who might not know,
Yeah.
the OS platform was this EU-wide platform for online dispute resolution.
Right.
It was supposed to make it easier for consumers to resolve issues with online purchases.
And now it's just gone.
It's gone.
So what happens if a customer has a problem with their order?
Right.
No more easy button for resolving things.
Well, that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
We don't know yet if the EU is planning to replace it with something new.
Okay.
But for now, online businesses really need to step up their game when it comes to handling complaints directly.
Right.
You're going to want to make sure that your internal procedures are crystal clear,
Okay.
well documented, and easy for customers to navigate.
So if you haven't already, it's time to invest in some solid customer service and dispute resolution processes. Because you are going to be handling these issues directly. And there's actually one action you need to take like right away.
Yeah, you absolutely need to remove
Wow.
any links or references to the OS platform
Okay.
from your website by July 20th, 2025.
Wow.
Keeping those links up could actually open you up to legal risks.
That's something I bet a lot of businesses aren't even aware of.
Probably not.
It's almost like outdated information becoming a liability.
Right.
Okay, so we've got stricter product safety rules to navigate and a disappearing dispute resolution platform.
Right.
What else is coming down the pipeline?
Well, get ready for the Accessibility Act,
Okay.
also known as the BFSG in German.
Okay.
This one comes into effect on June 28th, 2025.
Okay.
And it's all about making online shops and even digital products accessible to people with disabilities.
That sounds like a good thing in principle. But what does it actually mean for someone running an e-commerce business?
Okay, so think about things like
Okay.
making sure your website is easy to navigate.
Even for someone who might be using assistive technologies.
Right.
For example, clear text alternatives for images are crucial for visually impaired users.
That makes sense.
And you'll also need to include a specific accessibility statement in your terms and conditions.
An accessibility statement.
Yes.
That sounds pretty official.
It is.
What exactly needs to go in that issue?
It's basically a declaration
Okay.
that outlines how your website or digital product meets accessibility standards.
Okay.
It helps users understand what features are available to them and provides a way to report
Okay.
any accessibility barriers they might encounter.
So it's not just about ticking boxes.
Nope.
It's about genuinely creating a more inclusive online experience.
Exactly.
I imagine this applies to pretty much every online business out there.
Well, there are some exemptions, thankfully, for smaller businesses.
Okay.
Those with less than 10 employees and below a certain revenue threshold.
Okay.
But honestly, even if you're exempt, this is something to consider anyway. Yeah, making your website accessible is just good business practice.
Right.
It opens you up to a wider audience. And frankly, it's the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got product safety, dispute resolution, and accessibility all on our plates.
Right.
What's next on this legal roller coaster?
Okay, hold on tight.
Right.
Because we're about to talk about biocides.
Okay.
Things like wood preservatives or insecticides.
Okay.
From January 1st, 2025, you can't just freely sell certain biocides online anymore.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You can't just buy bug spray online anymore.
Well, not certain ones.
Why not?
Well, it's all about promoting safe and responsible use.
Okay.
These substances can be harmful if misused.
Right.
So the new regulations require sellers to verify that the buyer is qualified to handle these biocides.
Interesting.
So you might need to put systems in place to check professional certifications or even offer expert consultations before someone can buy, say, a powerful insecticide.
Okay, so no more impulse buying bug spray online.
Well, for certain ones.
I guess it makes sense from a safety standpoint.
Yeah.
But it definitely adds a layer of complexity for online businesses selling these products.
Exactly. And it's a good example of how these new regulations can really change the way you do business.
Yeah.
You're not just listing products and processing payments anymore.
Right.
You're taking on a more active role in ensuring responsible use.
This is seriously fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're just getting started.
We are.
What else do we need to be prepared for in 2025?
Well, one of the biggest changes for businesses in Germany is the shift to mandatory e-invoicing for B2B transactions.
Okay.
Starting January 1st, 2025.
So we're not just talking about emailing a PDF invoice anymore, right?
No, you're right. It's much more specific than just sending an attachment.
What exactly does e-invoicing entail?
So an e-invoice has to be issued in a specific format, basically a structured electronic data format that complies with European standards.
Okay.
The idea is to allow for automatic processing and integration with accounting systems.
Sounds like it could streamline things.
Yeah.
And save a lot of time on manual data entry.
Exactly.
But who exactly does this new e-invoicing rule impact?
For now, it's only mandatory for business-to-business transactions within Germany.
Okay.
So if you're mainly selling to individual consumers, you're in the clear for now.
Okay, good.
But if you have any B2B dealings, you'll need to make sure your invoicing systems are up to snuff.
Okay.
And just a heads up,
Yeah.
this mandate is expected to expand to smaller businesses by 2028.
Okay.
So it's something to keep on your radar regardless.
Okay, listeners take note. E-invoicing is the way of the future, at least in Germany.
Yeah.
It's not just a tech upgrade, it's becoming the legal standard. But before we all rush off to revamp our invoicing systems, there's a lot more ground to cover. Stick around for part 2, where we'll unpack even more legal changes heading your way in 2025.
Looking forward to it. All right, are you ready to tackle another big one?
Okay, hit me.
We need to talk about platform liability.
Okay.
Specifically the NetzDG.
Okay.
Which is Germany's law for tackling illegal content online.
NetzDG.
Yeah.
That sounds intense.
It is a little bit.
Let's break it down. What exactly does this law cover?
Okay.
And why should e-commerce businesses care?
Essentially, the NetzDG is about combating harmful content online.
Okay.
Think hate speech, fake news, incitements to violence, that sort of thing.
Right.
And while you might think, hey, I'm just selling shoes, not running a social media platform, this law can still impact you.
So even if I'm not creating that kind of content myself, I could still be held responsible for what others post on my site.
Potentially.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Right. The NetzDG puts a lot of pressure on platforms to quickly remove illegal content once it's been reported.
And that includes e-commerce platforms with features like product reviews or customer forums.
Okay, so like comments sections, essentially.
Exactly. Think of it this way.
Okay.
You're providing the space for those conversations to happen.
Right.
So you have a responsibility to make sure those spaces aren't being used to spread harmful content.
So if someone posts a racist rant in my product reviews, I can't just ignore it.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
You need to have systems in place to monitor, moderate, and remove that kind of content.
Okay.
Think clear community guidelines, a robust reporting system, and a clear process for taking down content that violates those guidelines.
This feels like walking a tightrope.
It is a balance.
On the one hand, you want to foster open discussion and feedback.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, you have to protect your platform from becoming a breeding ground for harmful content.
Absolutely. And the NetsDG emphasizes this idea of proportionality.
Okay.
You can't just delete everything you slightly disagree with. You need to find a balance between protecting users from harm and upholding freedom of expression.
So it's not just about playing the role of the content police.
Right.
It's about making responsible decisions.
Exactly.
This sounds pretty complex, and it feels like the rules are constantly changing.
You're not wrong. The NetsDG has seen some major updates in 2025.
Okay.
And one of the big ones is the expanded definition of illegal content.
Okay.
Now, it includes things like manipulated videos.
Oh, like deepfakes?
Yes, those deepfakes that can be incredibly realistic and deceptive.
Yeah, those are scary.
They are.
So now platforms are responsible for catching those too.
To an extent, yes.
But how can a small business possibly be expected to keep up with all of this?
That's a valid concern, and the technology for detecting deepfakes is still evolving.
Right.
The key here is to take a proactive approach.
Okay.
You can't prevent every single piece of harmful content from slipping through the cracks.
Right.
But you can minimize the risk.
What would that look like in practice?
Okay.
Give us some actionable steps.
Start by making sure your community guidelines are crystal clear.
Okay.
About what kind of content is not allowed. Provide an easy and accessible way for users to report content that violates those guidelines. And perhaps most importantly, make sure you have a clear process for reviewing those reports and taking action swiftly.
So it's about having a system.
Yes.
Not relying on gut feeling.
Exactly.
And is there anything else e-commerce businesses need to know about the NetsDG?
One thing that's worth mentioning is that the law also puts a spotlight on search engines.
Okay.
They're now obligated to take action against websites that repeatedly host or distribute illegal content.
Oh, wow.
This could mean anything from delisting those sites from search results to even blocking access to them entirely.
Wow. So the consequences for hosting illegal content are getting pretty serious?
They are.
This isn't something you want to mess around with?
Absolutely not. The fines for non-compliance with the NetsDG can be hefty.
Yeah.
And the reputational damage can be even worse.
Right. It's much better to be proactive and put safeguards in place from the start.
Okay, makes sense.
And speaking of protecting yourself,
okay,
let's shift gears to another legal giant that just keeps evolving.
Okay.
The GDPR.
Oh, the GDPR.
The one that everyone's heard of, but not everyone fully understands. It's been around since 2018.
Right.
So why is it still so relevant in 2025?
Yeah, good question.
It's simple. The General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR for short, is all about protecting personal data.
Okay.
It gives individuals more control over their data.
Right.
And lays down the law on how businesses collect, store, and use that data.
Okay.
And the key takeaway for 2025 is that enforcement is getting serious.
So no more burying your head in the sand when it comes to data privacy.
Exactly.
What are some practical steps e-commerce businesses can take to make sure they're on the right side of the GDPR?
The first step is to really understand what data you're collecting and why.
Make sure you have a legitimate reason for collecting each piece of information and obtain explicit consent from users when necessary.
So it's not enough to just have a generic privacy policy tucked away somewhere on your website. You actually have to follow it.
Yeah.
And be transparent about what you're doing with user data.
Exactly. And it's not just about collecting data properly. It's about protecting it, too.
Okay.
You need to have appropriate technical and organizational measures in place to safeguard that data from unauthorized access, use, or disclosure.
That sounds like a big job.
It can be.
Especially for smaller businesses with limited resources.
Yeah, but there are resources available to help, and it's an investment worth making.
Right.
The penalties for non-compliance with the GDPR can be steep.
Yeah.
And the damage to your reputation can be even worse.
I've heard horror stories about data breaches.
Yeah.
Costing companies millions. So prevention is definitely better than cure when it comes to the GDPR.
Absolutely. You need to have a data breach response plan in place.
Okay.
If a breach does occur, you need to act swiftly to contain the damage, notify the affected individuals, and comply with reporting obligations.
That makes sense. You can't just hope a data breach won't happen.
Right.
You need to be prepared for the worst case scenario.
Exactly.
Is there anything else e-commerce businesses should be particularly aware of when it comes to the GDPR in 2025?
One area that's getting a lot of attention is the use of cookies.
Cookies.
Websites need to be completely upfront about what cookies they use.
Okay.
And obtain informed consent from users before setting any cookies that aren't strictly necessary.
So those annoying cookie pop-ups we all see on websites are here to stay?
It seems so.
Great.
They might be a nuisance, but they're a key part of complying with the GDPR's cookie rules.
All right, so we've covered product safety, accessibility, navigating the tricky waters of online content moderation.
Right.
And now, data protection. That's a lot for any business to keep up with.
It is.
But we're not done yet.
Nope.
We've got one more crucial area to explore.
Okay.
Intellectual property rights.
That's right. Protecting your intellectual property is essential. Yeah. Especially in the digital world. Germany has strong laws in place to help you do just that.
Okay.
In the next part, we'll dive into trademarks, copyrights, and patents. Okay. And break down what e-commerce businesses need to know to safeguard their creations and their brand.
Sounds like it's going to be a jam-packed final part.
It will be.
So stay tuned, listeners, as we continue our deep dive into the legal landscape of 2025. All right, we're back for the final stretch of our deep dive into Germany's 2025 legal landscape.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
Yeah.
And we're wrapping things up with a topic that's crucial for any e-commerce business. Right. Intellectual property rights.
That's right.
So no matter what you're selling online, this one's for you.
You got.
So protecting your intellectual property is all about safeguarding your creations. Right. Your brand, your unique offerings, the things that set you apart in the marketplace.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm ready to protect my precious ideas.
All right.
But where do we even begin?
Okay.
What are the key things e-commerce businesses need to know about intellectual property law in Germany?
So let's break it down into three main areas.
Okay.
Trademarks, copyrights, and patents. Okay. Each one protects a different type of intellectual property, so it's important to understand the distinctions.
Okay, let's start with trademarks. Right. I know they're important, but can you explain why they're absolutely essential for e-commerce businesses?
So think of a trademark as your brand's identity. Okay. It's that symbol or sign that sets your goods or services apart from the competition. Okay. It could be your logo, your company name, a catchy slogan, even a distinctive sound or color scheme.
Oh, wow.
Take Nike, for example. Yeah. That swoosh is instantly recognizable and sets them apart.
So it's about preventing someone else from riding the coattails of your hard-earned brand recognition.
Right.
And confusing customers.
Precisely registering your trademark in Germany. Okay. Gives you exclusive rights to use it in connection with your specific products or services. Okay. That means you can take legal action to stop others from using a similar mark. Okay. It might confuse consumers.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. No one wants to see their brand ripped off. So how do you go about registering a trademark in Germany?
So thankfully, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
You just need to file an application at the German Patent and Trademark Office. Okay. The DPMA.
DPMA.
They'll review your application, and if it meets all the requirements, they'll grant you that trademark protection.
All right, so that's trademarks. What about copyrights? All right. How do those differ from trademarks?
So copyrights protect original creative works. Okay. We're talking written content, music, software code, artistic creations, the whole spectrum of creative output.
Wow.
In the context of e-commerce. Yeah. This could include your product descriptions, the content on your website, the photographs you use, even the design elements of your online store.
So if I spend hours crafting a witty and compelling product description, that's automatically protected by copyright.
Yeah, in most cases, copyright protection is automatic in Germany. Oh, okay. You don't have to go through a registration process. Good. But here's a pro tip. Okay. It's always a good idea to keep records of your work, like data drafts or screenshots, just to have evidence of your authorship if you ever need it.
Smart move. Yeah. Document everything. Got it. Okay, last but not least, we have patents.
All right.
What's the deal with those?
So patents protect inventions. Okay. They give you the exclusive right to commercially exploit your invention for a limited time. All right. In the world of e-commerce, this could be a new product design, a groundbreaking software solution, or even a unique business process that gives you a competitive advantage.
So if I come up with a revolutionary new gadget and get a patent for it,
right,
no one else can copy my design or sell a similar product without my permission.
Exactly. Patents are powerful tools for protecting your inventions.
Wow.
And securing your market position.
Okay.
However, getting a patent is a bit more complex than registering a trademark.
Right.
It involves a rigorous examination to make sure your invention is truly novel, inventive, and has practical applications.
Okay, so patents are the big leagues of intellectual property protection.
They are.
But honestly, my head is spinning a bit with all these different types of protection.
I can imagine.
What's the most important thing for our listeners to remember when it comes to protecting their intellectual property?
If I could give one crucial piece of advice, it would be to be proactive. Don't wait until someone infringes on your rights. Take steps to protect your valuable assets from the get-go.
Okay.
Register your trademarks, document your copyrights, and explore patent options if you have a truly innovative invention.
And what if, despite your best efforts, someone does infringe on your intellectual property rights?
Right.
What can you do?
Well, the good news is that Germany has effective legal remedies for these situations.
Okay, good.
You can start by sending a cease and desist letter demanding that they stop infringing.
Okay.
If that doesn't work.
Right.
You can pursue legal action, seek damages in court, or even request the seizure of infringing goods.
Wow.
But as I said, prevention is always better than cure.
Truer words were never spoken.
For sure.
All right, listeners, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From product safety to accessibility to online content moderation to data protection and now intellectual property rights.
It's a lot.
It's clear that navigating the legal landscape for e-commerce in Germany is no walk in the park.
It's certainly a complex landscape.
It is.
But as we've discussed, knowledge is power.
Right.
By staying informed, being proactive, and seeking expert advice when you need it. You can overcome these challenges and thrive in this dynamic and ever-evolving market.
Absolutely. A huge thank you to our expert for guiding us through this legal maze.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on the deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope you found this episode informative and empowering.
We hope so, too.
Remember, staying ahead of the curve is crucial in the world of e-commerce.
Absolutely.
So keep learning, keep adapting, and keep those amazing businesses going strong.
That's right.